Hello, Prep family. Welcome to the back to school edition of Catch Up with Coco. I'm excited about sharing some of the things we've been working on this summer and some different things that we're going to have to do as we begin the school year. First, as you all have seen, we've been engaging in quite a bit of construction over this summer. In particular, in the upper school, we're excited that we have begun projects that will revitalize and refresh the front of the upper school as well as the rear. You will see as we begin the school year, the front of the upper school has seen a very significant refresh, student-centered spaces where students can come, gather, print things, get on their computers, and begin the school day in a great manner. In addition, at the rear of the upper school, you're going to see some outdoor student-centered spaces. We're excited about that. That construction will go on as we enter the school year, but we're excited about that, hopefully opening in about October. But I hope everyone will be patient with us, particularly around the upper school as we finish that construction. The second construction project that we're doing that is much more visible is to our lower school, and that's the addition of a new lower school building that will be right next to the current lower school building. The reason we're doing the lower school construction is because we have been blessed with unprecedented growth in our lower school. We have literally outgrown the current lower school building, and so we're so excited about needing to build this new building. The building will have 17 new classrooms, a dining commons, and what I like to call the East Gymnasium. The reason I call it the East Gymnasium is because it will be accessible to all of our students, not just our lower school students, and we're excited about this addition to our campus. The first big change that we've got as a result of the construction is we're going to have some different start and stop times for lower, middle, and upper schools. I'm going to start with the lower school. The lower school will again begin at 8 o'clock, but the drop-off time will be moved up to 7:15. The pickup time or the stop time for the lower school will be at 2:30. This is going to allow us to stagger our drop-off times and pickup times between lower, middle, and upper. For middle school, the drop-off time will be 7:15 still, but school will not start till 8:30. For middle school, the pickup time will be 3:05. Obviously, this is a little earlier than we've had in years past, but again, it allows us to stagger our carpool pickups. For upper school, the buildings will again open at 7:15, but school day will not start until 8:30. The school day will end for upper school at 3:20. Again, this allows for a staggered carpool. And next, I'm going to talk about the carpool line so everyone can see how we're going to come in and out of campus this year. All right, let's talk about carpool. I want to preface this by saying that carpool is going to be a challenge this year. And the reason it's going to be a challenge is because of the construction site. We have lost the east entrance, the east road, and this north road, which went around what I used to call the band field, but is now going to be the lower school site proper. Because of losing this road, it means that our only real entrances to campus are at the main Lakeland entrance and this middle entrance. And this really requires that both the lower school and the middle and upper school carpool lines follow very similar paths. And we're going to go through that. But as I go through lower school first, then middle and upper school, I want to ask everyone, please be patient with us as we go through this carpool process this year. It's going to be difficult, it's going to be challenging, and we're all going to have to work together to make sure it's a good year. I want to make sure I emphasize being safe in the parking lot, slowing down, watching for our students as they're going across the street and across the parking lot. We're all really going to have to work together to make this a successful year. Again, we've tried to put in place some things like the staggered start and stop times to alleviate some of the congestion in the parking lot, but it is going to be challenging. And again, this is a one-year construction project, so this is for this year. We're excited about some of the things that we're going to be implementing in the following year to hopefully make carpool and the parking lot even better, but we are going to have a challenging year, and I'm going to ask everyone to work together. Let's start with lower school. As you're going to see, the lower school drop-off and pickup patterns are very similar to what we did last year. The exception is you won't have this east entrance and the east and north roads to exit from. When you drop off, you're going to use the middle entrance and the main entrance on Lakeland. You will again come in this south parking lot lane, go through the roundabout and exit. Again, at drop-off, we're hoping that most of lower school drop-off will occur before middle and upper school begin their drop-off time. If you have a middle school student, the drop-off time for lower school is 7:15, but the buildings for middle and upper will also open at 7:15, so it should not be a problem. As we pick up, you're following the same pattern. You're going to use these entrances as well as go through the roundabout and then exit. We understand that some lower school parents are also picking up middle and upper school students. If you are in that category, once you exit the roundabout, just park along the sidewalk in front of either the middle or the upper school to wait for your students. Additionally, if the traffic is too much, you can come and park in the parking lot in front of the middle school and let your students know to come across the walkway and meet you in the parking lot. We will have people at the walkways as usual to make sure that students can cross the street safely. All right, let's talk about middle and upper school drop-off and pickup. This will follow a different traffic pattern than what we're used to because we have the construction site. For middle and upper school, we're really all going to need to enter in the main entrance and go down the east direction on Patriot Boulevard, go around the roundabout to drop off at middle and upper school. Now, we're hopeful that because lower school will be starting at 8 o'clock and middle and upper will not start till 8:30, that most of the traffic will be alleviated as you're going through your drop-off time. Now, the buildings for middle school and upper school will be open at 7:15, so that is an option. But we like to encourage our families, if you're flexible and this will work for your family, to drop off as close to 8:30 for both of those buildings as possible because it will help alleviate some of the traffic. Certainly we'd ask you not to come before 8 o'clock, again, if your family schedule allows that. If it doesn't, it's not a problem because we'll have supervision in both buildings starting at 7:15. Again, we're going to have to use a little patience as we navigate the drop-off time for middle school. All right, let's turn to middle and upper school pickup. Again, we're going to have to use some patience. What we're going to do is, as we come in the eastbound lane of Patriot Boulevard, we're going to have cones blocking. This is where middle school is going to line up. The reason we have to do this is because we have to let all of the lower school pickup evacuate the parking lot before we start middle school, because if we don't, it's going to be gridlock in our parking lot and it will be very difficult to exit. So we're going to hold the middle school pickup until the lower school pickup is really finished. And again, this really doesn't start until 3:05. Now, again, if you've got a lower school student and middle and upper, we're going to ask you to park along the sidewalk, but leave lanes open for people to be able to leave the parking lot. Once the lower school drop-off is finished, this lane will be opened, and then you can go and pick up your middle and upper school students. And middle school, again, will begin pickup at 3:05. Upper school will not begin pickup until 3:20. So again, if you're able and if you're flexible, we'd ask you to sort of time when you come to pick up close to those times to allow this to flow more smoothly. One other change this year is we're going to have two different spots for 7th and 8th grade pickup and 5th and 6th grade pickup. 7th and 8th grade will be under the canopy of the middle school. 5th and 6th grade pickup will be at the entrance by the clock tower for 5th and 6th grade. Obviously, if it's raining, we'll move that to under the canopy of the upper school. We've got these separated pickup spots to hopefully elongate the carpool pickup line to make it a little bit easier. If you have 7th and 8th grade students and you'd rather not sit in the line, one option you have at pickup is to use the parking lot in front of the middle school and have your students walk across the crosswalk and get in the car that way. Again, we're going to have plenty of supervision here to make sure that that is safe to cross at that place. Please note for 5th and 6th graders, 5th and 6th graders will not be allowed to walk across the parking lot unaccompanied by adult supervision. So if you've got your 5th and 6th graders, we encourage you either to pick them up on the sidewalk or park and you come pick them up from their 5th and 6th grade spot. All right, the final thing that I want to talk about is showing you both of the carpool lines together because I want to make a couple of points. The first is for the lower school drop-off and pickup, you always need to make sure that as you come through the roundabout, you cross over and get in the through lane of traffic. Again, that's to make sure that we don't block the westbound lane of Patriot Boulevard as we're trying to get people off campus. And so for middle school, you're going to always go close to the sidewalk because you're dropping off and picking up your students. And again, I want to emphasize, make sure your students are always exiting on the sidewalk side for drop off and pick up. This is really important this year as we're going to have a fair amount of congestion during our carpool lines. The other thing I want to make sure that we emphasize is this is going to be difficult. We know that this is going to be a hard year. It's for 1 year only, but please make sure that we're patient. Make sure that everyone in your family has an opportunity to review this video, because we know that both sets of parents are involved in drop off and pickup. We need to make sure that all of our families are fully informed about our procedures for this year. If you've got grandparents or aunts and uncles or babysitters that might be picking up, make sure they watch this video as well, because this is really going to be critical that all of us are informed about what we're doing this year for Carpool. Again, I appreciate in advance everyone's patience as we do this and going through a fairly complicated way of doing Carpool this year. One additional point I wanted to make about the construction is for our lower school, we will have a new dining structure that we'll use for dining this year with our lower school. Again, this is for 1 year. This structure will be climate controlled. It'll have a floor. We're very excited about being able to use this structure for dining, but I do want to make you aware of that change and how we're going to do dining for the lower school this year. Additionally, as most of you already know, back to school information has been posted in the parent portal. I would encourage you to check out your students' grade specific back to school information. There's a wealth of information there that you need to look at as we begin preparing for the school year, and we begin school on August the 7th. One final item related to back to school information is I want to make sure everyone's aware that the Student Council will not have the supply store this year. For pre-K 3 through 6th grade, your supplies are included in your educational tools fee and will be available for pickup at the beginning of the school year. For those 7th and 8th grade students who have pre-ordered their supplies, those will also be available for pickup. For the remaining 7 through 12 students, your supply lists are ready on the back to school information. And if you would like to go ahead and begin shopping for those supplies, you can get a jump on that as we begin the school year. Thank you for watching this edition of Catch Up with Coco. I know that there's a lot of information that's coming at you. We do have some things that we have to do a little differently as we begin this school year because of the exciting construction that we've got going on. Again, I appreciate in advance everyone's patience, everyone's understanding as we implement some of these changes this year. In particular, during the first 2 weeks, please help us as we make sure we get our patterns established. If something's not working, we'll adjust as we go through the beginning of the school year. But we're excited about this coming up school year. We've been hard at work getting ready for welcoming our students back to campus. I hope everyone has a great rest of the summer. Be safe, and I can't wait to see everyone back on campus. Go Patriots.